everyone, this is Captain Foley coming at you, doing another Star Trek movie review. This time we are doing Star Trek Generations. So let's get underway, shall we? Sorry about that, had a disc in there. Anyway, guys, yes, so thank you for tuning in. We have a new intro to the channel, in case you haven't noticed. This is the first movie review that has the intro, so hope you guys enjoyed it. There's going to be different intros following, and we're going to mix it up a little bit, and yeah. So anyway, let's get underway with this, shall we? So as we all know, this is the first Next Generation film, and it does have the original, some of the original cast in it, so it's a nice crossover piece, and one of, I don't know if it's one of my favorites, but you know, it's got Kirk, and Kirk's definitely my favorite character besides the Enterprise, of course. So, you know, it's a little bit of a shame that he dies, but there's controversy about whether he died or not. Enterprise B. Not a big fan of Enterprise B, to be honest with you. Alright guys, here we go. Now this is a pretty cool opening. See the little bottle spinning. I remember watching this the first time going, what the hell is that? Wait a minute, that's a bottle. Why is there a bottle floating through space? But, of course, it's Dom Perignon. And we're going to see the year in a second here. Just, it's really cool the way they did this. I am pretty impressed with it. So yeah, my one big question is coming up in just a second here. Hold on, let's pause this here. So, vintage 2265, Dom Perignon. It's probably a good year. I don't know. I don't know how it works. I think is it the odd numbered years are good, or the even numbered years are good? Anyway, it doesn't really matter. So, where did this bottle, A, get launched from? And B, Enterprise B, why is it still a liquid when it hits the ship? It's cool to see a christening of a starship. I didn't know they actually still did that with like wine bottles, or champagne, sorry. But kind of cool. But is it like full of antifreeze? Is it especially brewed Dom Perignon that can stay liquid in like absolute zero? And apparently, from what I've heard, Kirk, Spock, and McCoy were supposed to be on the bridge here.
I'm Captain John Harriman, and I'd like to welcome you all aboard. It's our pleasure. I just want you to know how excited we all are to have a group of living legends with us on our maiden voyage. I remember reading about your missions when I was in grade school.
Gee, thanks.
Well, may we have a look around? Please, please.
I was pretty impressed with this, but apparently Leonard Nimoy and DeForest Kelley didn't want to do this part because they didn't like the script. So they've got Scotty and Chekhov. But it makes more sense that Spock and McCoy aren't here, because Kirk said in Star Trek V he always knew that he would die alone. So this really made it seem like he was gone, dead. Of course, we see Tuvok there without the ears. Sulu's daughter.
Ensign Demora Sulu.
When did you have time to have a
Pleasure
kid?
to meet you, sir. My father's told me some interesting stories about him.
Your father is a Colonel Sulu?
Yes, sir.
Last time I checked.
Oh, you've met her before, but she was
Wasn't that long ago? I couldn't remember.
12 years, sir. Absolutely.
Incredible. Congratulations, Ensign. It wouldn't be the Enterprise without a Sulu at the helm.
Thank you, sir.
I'm sure Hikaru must be very proud.
Very proud. Very proud.
I was never that young.
You were younger.
No? You were younger.
I love the banter. I'm sorry. I know William Shatner is kind of a dick, apparently. But Kirk, I love Kirk, man.
What would that be, sir? Sulu, when did he find time for a family?
Well, like you always say, if something's important, you make the time. Ah, so that's why you seem so restless. Finding retirement a little lonely, are we?
You know, I'm glad you're an engineer. With tact like that, you'd make a lousy psychiatrist.
Excuse me, gentlemen, if you'll take your seats.
No, I'm kind of glad it's not Spock and McCoy here,
Yes, of course.
because I like to see the banter between these two. And there's,
Thrusters ahead, 1 quarter, port and
I was
starboard
just going to show you
station.
Tuvok again, in case you guys hadn't noticed that Tuvok's in this.
You give the order to get underway.
Thank you very much.
Please, sir. Please, I insist.
Take her out.
Take us out.
Yay, see there's Tuvok. You missed him again. He's behind the captain's chair. You will see him.
Good Sam.
Don't tear to me,
Enterprise B, not a huge fan. I actually prefer C more than B. I don't like what they got going on in the secondary hull here. I prefer more of like the Excelsior look. But then again, I hate the Excelsior too. I just don't like that style of starship.
After you've seen the rest of the ship, how does it feel to be back? I'm fine.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, we've just cleared the asteroid belt.
Yay!
Our course today will take us out beyond Pluto and then back to space dock.
See, there's Tuvok
Just a quick run
right
around the block.
there behind
Captain,
his.
will there be time to
There he is.
conduct any tests on the warp drive system?
Of course, he's not Tuvok. He's not a Vulcan, but. How hard would it be for Kirk not to jump in here?
This is the transport ship Blackpool. We're talking about the Chica's starboard. 2 ships in our platform. Trapped. There's the vehicle grabbing metro and a starship. We can't break free. We need help. It's tearing us apart.
See, there's Tuvok.
This is the transport.
Only not Tuvok. And her you might recognize from Terminator 2. She plays John Connor's adopted mom who gets killed.
Distance,
But
3 light years.
and of course we all know
Single the closest starship.
him from Ferris Bueller's Day Off, Cameron.
We don't even have a full crew aboard.
We're the only one in range, sir.
Of course we're the only one in range. How is that possible when you're in Earth's like solar system?
Well then,
Oh wow. We're the only ship in the quadrant.
I
Again.
guess it's up to us. Helm. Lay in an intercept force and engage at maximum.
And this poor guy, the stress of having living legend on his bridge while he's, yeah, his first mission.
Is there something wrong with your chair?
I don't know, man. I couldn't do it. Not with Kirk on my ship. I'd be like, dude, take over.
Energy distortion, Captain.
On stream.
Plus, you got all the reporters watching your every move, so that's got to be stressful.
What the hell is that?
I've located the transport ships. Their hulls are starting to buckle under the stress. They won't survive much longer.
See, Tuvok. So, if you understand that it's supposed to be Spock and McCoy. It makes more sense later on, especially
We don't have a tractor.
when they transfer the people over.
It won't be installed until Tuesday.
Tuesday. That's a running joke with me and my wife. If we don't have something, it'll be here Tuesday, because everything is, it'll be here on Tuesday. No photon torpedoes, no deflect, whatever, no medical staff. Nothing is coming till Tuesday.
Venting plasma from the warpless cells that might disrupt the ribbons holding the ships.
Aye, sir. Releasing ground plasma. It's not having any effect, sir.
Sir, the starboard vessel's hull is collapsing.
But yeah, when they bring over the Elorian survivors, Chekhov runs down to the medical bay and you become nurses, come with me.
65.
It would make more sense if it was McCoy that went and did that, but you know, whatever. They did what they could with what they had.
Sir, LaPool's hull integrity is down to 12%.
I'm sorry I'm letting this run, but this is like my favorite part of this movie. Is it's kind of the last hurrah for.
First, move us within transport range. Leave those people while they rest.
Get that thing out of my face.
Tear us apart.
Risk is part of the game. You want to sit in that chair.
Helm, close to within transporter range.
I can turn the damn thing off.
So I wonder what happened to Enterprise A at this point. I wonder if it's been.
Your medical staff.
The medical staff
Oh, not till Tuesday.
doesn't arrive until Tuesday.
Who they detail now? You just become nurses. Let's go.
So that kind of makes sense if that would have been McCoy, but
Sir, I'm having trouble locking onto them.
and
You
Tuvok.
appear to be in some sort of temporal flux.
Stop.
What the hell? Their life signs are phasing in and out of our space-time continuum.
Thank you, Tuvok.
Sir, their hull's collapsing. Keep them out of there, Scott.
It would have been cool if they did a Voyager episode where Tuvok, that actually is Tuvok, and he had like surgery to
Complete.
get the ears cropped or something to go back in time. That would have been kind of cool. I know they did flashback, but
47 out of 150.
Call the electric field emanating from the trailing edge of the ribbon.
we're going to help you. Okay, I'm gonna pause it, guys, because I'm letting this run a little long, and I might be boring you. So I'm sorry. I apologize. Although there is guidance, so good to know. Good to know. But anyway, I'll see you in a second.
Torpedo bay. Prepare to fire. Aye, command.
Captain, we don't have any torpedoes.
No torpedoes.
Don't tell.
Tuesday. That's why it's an ongoing joke with my wife. If we don't have something, I'll look at her and go, "Don't tell me." Tuesday.
Using a resonance burst.
Okay, now here where the ship gets hit, we all know the Kirk's in the down in this section. Wow. So do they not have shields up, or does this thing go through the shields? I don't, you know what I'm saying?
It's all right. I'm increasing power to compensate. We're clear.
Lieutenant Kirk! Damage report, Ensign.
Calm down there, Harriman.
Important cell. We've also got a hull breach in the engineering section. Emergency force fields in place and holding.
Where?
Sections 20 through 28. On decks 13, 14, and 15.
No,
Mr. Captain Kirk.
no Kirky. Kirky gone.
Captain Kirk, please respond.
See this? I like this part that that
Leave me. I'm Captain
Spock and McCoy aren't with him. because he did say always knew he'd die alone. And he knew he wouldn't die in Star Trek V when he fell, because two of them were with him. I know that he's not alone. He's got Scotty and Chekhov there, but that's not the trifecta. That's not Kirk, Spock, and McCoy. So I kind of like that they weren't involved in this. It just makes more sense to me. So, and to see the interplay between the three of them was kind of nice. Hi. So would Kirk be classified as missing in that action because they never find his body? Because you got to think they'd scan space, they'd scan the, try to figure out what happened to his body. So would he be listed as missing in action or deceased? I don't know how Starfleet would play that out. But that's just cool to see them standing there with the force fields. And of course now, that's the very last we see of the original series era in a movie. It's very sad. And now, of course, we're in the holodeck. 78 years later. And this just seems like an odd way to promote somebody. Bring out the prisoner. It's got to be a better way.
Answer him.
I am prepared.
I'm pretty sure this wasn't Worf's idea.
Being of sound mind and judgment, hereby make the following charges against Lieutenant Worf. 1. That he did knowingly and willfully perform above and beyond the call of duty on countless occasions. 2. Most
Call of Duty.
that he has earned the admiration and respect of the entire crew. Mr. Wolf, I hereby promote you to the rank of Lieutenant Commander with all the rights and privileges thereto. And may God have mercy on your soul.
Okay, Kunta Kinte. Is it not me, but does this gentleman not look a lot like Scotty? I always thought that was actually James Doohan that played that part with like a beard put on, but apparently it's not. But it looks a lot like him. Of course, the first shot of the Enterprise on the big screen was awesome. There have been quite a few changes to the bridge, you'll notice. The arms of his chair are actually a different color. There's emergency grab bars for whatever reason. And the side consoles, which are really cool. I really like the way the bridge has changed. Of course, they couldn't afford to have it during the series because they didn't have enough money to keep them manned and make it look like they're actually doing something, which I think is kind of silly. I really like this bridge design where it has the panels on the side because it's a lot like the original series bridges. Picard's pissy. But yeah, there's quite a few changes that you probably won't even notice with the amount of time you see this bridge. But if you look it up, look it up online, they tell you all the changes they made to the bridge, which are pretty substantial. So, and if you notice in the background, you see people wearing like the Voyager style uniforms that has the black with the color on the top. This was a transition period in Starfleet where they were changing the uniforms over. So you see the main cast wearing these ones, Riker especially, and then later in the movie he's upgraded to his new uniform. But the crew is very mixed at this point. Some of them are wearing new uniforms, some aren't. It's kind of neat to see the transition. So I don't know if you guys noticed that, but yeah, it's just a transition over to the new uniforms, like Deep Space Nine and Voyager types or style.
More? Please.
See, there's a few. There's one there. You'll see a few, and you'll notice later Riker isn't wearing his regular uniform. He's wearing a new one, and I believe Picard at the time is wearing the old style. So it's just a matter of getting your new duds from Starfleet, I guess. Getting the replicator to get you a new uniform. I don't know how it works, but it's just a transition period, like in the military. Some would have the older uniforms, some would have newer ones until everybody transitioned into the new ones. So. See, Riker's got his new uniform now, and Worf is still wearing his old uniform.
However, the Romulans never found a way to stabilize it.
Why would they look for it on the Federation observatory? That doesn't make any sense.
So I like the way they did that, incorporated the uniforms. And here's another example. Data's got the new uniform, Geordi's still got his old uniform.
We were on the bridge. You told the joke.
I also love the incorporation of the old style computer screens here. Right there you see some original series engineering displays, which is kind of cool because it's an older observatory which has been retrofitted. So it's got a lot of the original equipment on it still, which is kind of cool. I love seeing original TOS callbacks in movies. JJ, smarten up. Not that he will. And here we get a better look at the display consoles I was talking about. You can see them along here, all the original series, and then the upper ones are more like the movie era displays. And this scene here kind of pisses me off. This one is the exact same scene from Star Trek 6. I don't know why they have to recycle scenes all the time. How much money are you actually saving? And with the scene where the bird of prey decloaked and came flying in and like settled in above the observatory, cool scene. Why not make a new scene where it takes off? I don't like the fact that they recycle those scenes all the time. A few things here I gotta point out. I absolutely love female Klingon's attire. And he just hit her in the face. Her blood is very clearly red, like a human's blood. Much like I pointed out in Star Trek 6, my review, that the blood was pink. And yet in all the other Next Generation, whatever, incarnations, Klingon blood is red. Now I found out recently the reason that the Klingon blood was pink in Star Trek 6 was because of all the blood that was floating around on screen. If it was actually red, it would be too realistic, and it would have changed the rating of the movie to R-rated. And so to get around that, they changed the blood to pink so that it didn't look like real blood. So that's a little known fact about Star Trek 6 that I didn't know at the time when I did my Star Trek 6 review. So I'm letting you guys know that right now. And just one more thing I'd like to point out. Beverly looks damn good in a motion picture as opposed to the Next Generation. She looks very good on the big screen, if you know what I'm saying. And of course, now we have Picard in the new uniform. So everybody's gradually getting into the new uniforms. Apparently, the Klingons don't share my view of Dr. Crusher. Look at her, look at her. You know how sexified she is in this one. Sorry, I don't mean to offend anybody, but she looks damn good in this movie. One of my favorite parts of this movie.
I just love scanning for life forms.
Life forms. You precious little life forms. You precious little life forms. Where are you? Okay, so they have this shield modulation so they can shoot through the shields. Bam, bam. Now, lock phasers and return fire. I think my next command, or my first command, would be rotate shield modulation. You know what I mean? If they can find a way to punch through your shields, why not change your shield modulation? It'd be one of the first things I would say. I don't think Riker's a very good first officer. Just saying is all. Just saying. And more reused scenes from like DS9 and every other series. All these scenes with the like Klingons sucked out and blown up. I don't know how many times. And that scene again. Seriously, from Star Trek 6. Seriously. We just saw that movie, last movie. Change your goddamn scenes. I know it's expensive to film that, but it that expensive. I cut myself off. And yet another of my favorite moments from this movie. You know what's coming. And would someone mind telling me how the hell he survived this? Okay, yeah, pin, whatever. This first one hits really low. So it's possible it could have loosened and he could have rolled down. But then the next, like, 3 or 2, pretty good coverage, and plus that one big thing rolls down. So, and it's a pretty long fall. How do you survive that? And of course we got this going on too. It's kind of cool to see the starship crash. And of course it's crashing because you got Troy at the helm. Every time you put her in charge, something bad happens. Watch The Next Generation, you'll understand what I'm talking about. Every time Troy's in charge, something stupid happens. And this time you let her drive, and she crashes into a planet. And I gotta throw in a little Star Wars reference here. Can you imagine how Riker feels? Picard gives him command, and he's like messing up his ship, dude. It's like when Han Solo gives the Millennium Falcon to Lando Calrissian in Return of the Jedi and says, "Not a scratch. I promise." And then he like rips off the main satellite dish thing they have, you know, bashing off the inside of the Death Star. I mean, you must be thinking, somebody's going to be pissed at me. It's like borrowing your dad's car and scratching it. Not that that's ever happened to me. So if I was Soren, I'd be pretty surprised right now that Picard survived that whole enchilada. And I love how later this is Kirk, and he's like, "Who the hell are you?" I remember watching this the first time and seeing this scene and going, and I don't know about you all, but if I ever got in the Nexus, I wouldn't leave. I'd be like living out of all my fantasies. It's like the ultimate holodeck. So yeah, if I was a captain of a starship, there'd be people dead because I wouldn't be coming back to save anybody. And why is everyone dressed in Victorian era clothing? Is this how they celebrate their Christmas in the future? Well, I mean, it might be for somebody like Picard, who's kind of high class. But I mean, the poor children. Think of the children. To make them wear Victorian style clothing, that's not nice. Don't.
Guy, what are you doing here? I thought you were on board the Enterprise.
I am.
The Enterprise done got fucked up, motherfucker.
Think of me
So is this
as an echo.
is this the echo of Guinan that was there before, or is this the Guinan that just got killed on the Enterprise that's there now to help him out? I never could figure that one out myself.
You can go anywhere, anytime.
All right, I know exactly where I want to go. To the mountaintop on Viridian 3, just before Solomon destroyed the star. I have to stop him. But
Why
I need help.
would you not go back sooner?
Together.
Could be a time paradox type of deal. But I'd go back to where we first found Soren on the Armagosa Observatory,
This point of view.
and I would put him in the brig. But there's probably another Picard there. I don't know if that would work out so well. This here, if you read the novelization of this movie, I'm just going to pause this for a second. If you read the novelization of this movie, Kirk has spent his whole time in the Nexus correcting all his mistakes, saving all the crew members that died under his command, and, you know, just rectifying everything he did wrong in his life, and probably having a shit ton of sex. Maybe even more so than he had in the original series. But if you read the novelization, you get to see where he saves people's lives. Also, in this book series, this one's The Crucible, the Star of Every Wandering. It talks about what he does in the Nexus as well. excellent book, by the way. It's actually a series of 3 books. There's a Kirk one, a McCoy one. Set that down. And of course, a Spock one. So I mean, this series is definitely worth reading. It's called The Crucible, Spock, McCoy, and Kirk. I found the McCoy book in this series to be the absolute best, which is kind of strange for me. It's the one I remember the most out of reading all of them. But yeah, definitely worth checking out. This talks about what Kirk did in the Nexus, and kind of corrects the whole Kirk is dead thing. So you guys need to check these out, and yeah, that's all I have to say about that right now. So to say that he just, as far as he knows, he just arrived here and he was just cutting wood, seems a little bit sketchy to me. He's been in there for 80 years. I know time has no meaning, but
Yes, it certainly is.
I'm sure Kirk would go here to just kind of chillax, because I certainly would. As we all know, Kirk's been in this situation before where you kind of get granted everything you've always wanted. You could live there, you could have everything you wanted, but it's Kirk, so he's like, this isn't real. This isn't real. I know he wants to believe it at first, but he's been in this situation a few times, I think, where they've granted him whatever he wanted. He could live whenever he wanted, however he wanted, and he always comes back to reality like he is Kirk. Kirk. I love this scene. It's like Picard, he's...
Joey, in the cabin. Second shelf to the left.
Second shelf to the left, and straight on to morning. From Star Trek 6. Ah! But it sounded like he was almost calling Picard a dillweed, which is kind of funny.
The Enterprise B from Energy River 80 years ago.
I love Kirk's reaction.
You say this is the 24th century.
And I'm dead.
And I'm dead.
Not exactly. As I said, this is some kind of
The temporal nexus is something is missing.
I fucking love Kirk, man.
Captain, look, I need your help. I want you to leave the Nexus with me. We have to go back to our planet, Viridian 3. We have to stop a man called Solomon from destroying a star. Millions of lives are at stake.
You say history considers me dead.
Ooh, I'd argue with history.
You're a Starfleet officer. You have a duty.
I
Oh.
don't need to be lectured by you.
Really?
I was out saving the galaxy when your grandfather was in diapers.
Besides which?
Besides which, I think the galaxy was with me.
Or 2, or 50.
I was like you once. So worried about duty and obligation I couldn't see past my own uniform. That wasn't to get me.
An empty house.
An empty house. Not this time. This time I'm gonna walk up these stairs, march into that bedroom, tell Antonia I want to marry her. This time
It'll be
it's
different.
gonna be different.
Picard, just let him be. He's a goddamn legend already. Just let him do his thing. Do you really need his help? This is not your bedroom. This is better.
This is not your bedroom.
No, it's not. It's better.
Better.
This is my uncle's barn in Idaho. I took this horse out for a run 11 years ago on a spring day. Like this one, if I'm right. This is the day I met Antonia. This next universe, Franklin. I can start all over again
Very clever.
and do things right from day one.
That's what he does in the novel. Picard, just let him be. I know you can't do anything by yourself. You need a legend to help you, but leave him alone.
Captain of the Emperor. That's right. Close to deployment.
Wasn't planning on it.
Let me tell you something. Don't let them promote you. Don't let them transfer you. Don't let them do anything. Takes you off the bridge of that ship, because while you're there, you can make a difference. Come back with me.
Make a difference
Stop,
again.
son. Make a difference again.
Fucking love Kirk, man. He's awesome.
Who am I to argue with the captain of the Enterprise?
Only
Sitting on that planet,
better Captain of the Enterprise.
Yeah. I take it the odds are against us and the situation's great.
And a better Enterprise.
You could say that.
Sounds like fun.
That's why we're here. You'd say that I was an irrational, illogical human being taking on a mission like that. Sounds like fun.
That was Picard to be like, you know what? I met Spock. I mind melded with him. Yeah, I got some things. I got some secrets on you, man. And how do they choose to get out? How does that work? Anyway. Hey, oh, look, we get to see Troy crash the Enterprise yet again. And here's the new scene. Who are you?
Just who the hell are you?
He's James T. Kirk. Don't you read history?
Why would an Elorian be reading human history?
I gotta get to the hole shop.
Ripper will be here in a minute. I'll take care of Soren.
Fisticuffs and fighting are better suited to Kirk than Picard anyway, so this is alright. Because Picard kept getting owned by Soren. 1 or 2 hits and he was like rolling down hills. Just happened again. Picard, you gotta go on more away missions. That's why the captain should go on away missions, so he can actually do something. Riker would have a better chance. Okay, I call bullshit on that. He just destroyed the bridge, and the control pad thingy didn't fly off the bridge. It's still on there. I understand suspension of disbelief, but mine only goes so far. And even though it is Star Trek and it's awesome,
Running out of time. Look, the control pad. It's still on the other side.
bullshit.
You go for the launcher.
No, you never make that by yourself. You have to work together.
Working together. Trust me.
Good luck, Captain.
Yeah, the chance of that control pad remaining on that bridge after being hit by Soren's disruptor is a little bit no. No, I don't think so. Not happening. And what are the chances that he would know how to activate or deactivate the cloaking device? Okay, again, how is the controller not like gone? He happened to catch it? I don't know. There's just a whole bunch of bullshit moments. Don't get me wrong, I love Star Trek, I love Kirk, but I can call bullshit on Star Trek Prime movies. That's why I have so much fun calling bullshit on JJ's movies. This whole him falling thing, also bullshit. He would have been like flying off that bridge and been toasted. Trekyard. Oh, the irony of it all. Of all the times the captain was on the bridge, it all ends with a bridge on the captain. I know, that's a bad one. That's a bad one, but it's kind of funny. Sorry guys, this is just a sad moment. We gotta watch this. Always a little trickle of blood out of the side of his mouth. Always, no matter what he goes through. A little trickle of blood, maybe a little cut up here. That's about it.
Thank you.
Never does he have a black eye, a broken nose. Trickle of blood. Looks like a vampire. For the captain of the Enterprise. And his last words here. Oh my. It's like he's exploring a whole new universe now.
Oh my.
Very reminiscent of Steve Jobs' last words, which were, oh wow, oh wow, oh wow. Didn't know if you guys knew that. It was Steve Jobs' last words were that. He was focusing on his family, and then he his eyes fell behind them, and he said, oh wow, oh wow, oh wow. It has nothing to do with Star Trek, I know, but it's cool. And he did give us the iPad, which is basically like the pads in Star Trek, so there is a tie in there. And this whole Kirk being buried here, I like the William Shatner novels where he's not actually dead. Well, he is, but the Romulans beam him out and like clone him, so Kirk does live. I like that. I don't know if you got a chance to read Shatner's books, but they're basically Judith and Reeves, Garfield Reeves. I forget their names now. But yeah, good books. I like them because, of course, I like Kirk. So any book where Kirk is like the hero and the main man, it's my kind of deal. So, but sad. You're gonna cry. But he's not really dead, as long as we remember him.
Who is this ship?
She went before her time.
Someone once told me that time is a predator that stalks all our lives. And I rather believe that time is a companion that goes with us on the journey, reminds us to cherish every moment. Because they'll never come again.
It's kind of depressing.
What we leave behind is not as important as how we lived. After all, my boy, we're only mortal.
Speak for yourself, son. I plan to live forever.
Well, you could have if you kept your Q powers.
I always thought I'd get a shot at this chair one day.
Take it. There it is. Take it home with you.
Perhaps you still will. Somehow I doubt that this will be the last ship to carry the name Enterprise.
Foreshadowing. No. Although I was really eager to see what the next Enterprise looked like at this point, so.
So did we, Mom.
And there you have it, guys. That's my review of Star Trek Generations. Thank you for tuning in and letting me share this little adventure with you. Next one, of course, is First Contact. So look forward to that. It's a good one. And I will talk to you guys later. just thinking, is the next one First Contact? Yes, the next one's First Contact. Sorry, having a brain fart. But yes, so thank you for tuning in, guys. This is Captain Foley, and I look forward to seeing you very soon with my next movie review, which will of course be Star Trek First Contact. Now that my brain's back on track. Sorry. I do these in the morning, so I don't have my morning coffee sometimes, and today was one of those days, so I apologize if I sound like an idiot. Next time I'll try to be a little bit more awake. Alright guys, thanks again. This is Captain Foley. Talk to you later. Bye-bye.